I'm Lynn.
I'm Amanda.
And
this is The Pursuit of Badassery, the podcast.
We're cutting through the fluff and cracking open what it really takes to build a business and life that you actually want.
No gurus, no gatekeeping, just real talk, big action, and the badass energy you need to scale and slay.
Some episodes, it's just us.
And sometimes we bring on powerful guests with stories that'll hit home.
Either way, this is not about playing small.
It's about going all in.
Let's get after it. Hey there, I'm Lynn.
And I'm Amanda. Welcome to The Pursuit of Badassery, the podcast. You know, we love going to entrepreneurial events. We love talking about entrepreneurial pursuits, obviously. And recently, this is the third year in a row that we've attended Money 2020 here in Bangkok. And we want to talk a little bit about what that looks like and what is sort of unexpected from our clients and from the event itself. So let's talk a little bit about our recent exposure to Money 2020 for the third time.
Yeah. So if you don't know what Money 2020 is, it is an ecosystem for Fintech, essentially. And typically higher level, but also like big startups who are in the VC world, et cetera, et cetera. So before we get into like just the overall feel, one of the conversations that Amanda and I had a lot around this is not really our client pool, which is kind of against the grain of what we usually talk about. Like if you're going to an event, like make sure that there is I guess it's not against it because there was a reason why we still attend. There's actually several reasons why we still attend if it's not our client pool per se. But I think it's like kind of always when you're going to something, there's that intention behind it and like understanding what that dynamic is, because we could have really set ourselves up for frustration or even not gone. And like she said, this is our third year in a row because it's not our ideal target audience. It's not necessarily people that we can even relate to in some ways or another, because it's a completely different industry. It's not our wheelhouse. As well, Fintech is not necessarily the client base that we work with, even in mindset on a small scale. And so we want to start by talking a little bit around that.
Yes. You know, a lot of business owners go to events hunting for clients. And we've talked about too, like Lynn just said, you go to a networking event, you see who's in the room, who am I talking to? How could this lead to this, that, and the other? But thinking about being in a room to look for clients is the lowest leverage of any high level room. So when you want to scale your business, it's more than just who's going to be my next paycheck. That's not at all why we have ever gone to Money 2020. There's a lot more to say about just the proximity around it of bigger thinking. One of the things I enjoyed most about this year and last year of just listening to a lot of the people who are on stage talking in the fintech space is the overwhelming, expansive ideas that they had coming on. Like, there's just so many things that I didn't even think about in my day-to-day business because I'm nose to the grindstone. This is where I am. And so opening me up to think at that scale, to think how deals are structured, how ecosystems are built, how people are looking at their businesses differently, that changes how I look at my business. So, you know, you don't grow by staying in rooms where you're the reference point. So this is a great way, or for us at least, it was a great way to see how other things are operating outside of our ecosystem.
Absolutely. We have this conversation a cajillion times a day, it feels like. Not really, but it feels like it. It's about like putting yourself in the uncomfortable, right? The growth happens in the uncomfortable and the unknown. And there is a lot of alignment. Like why we first started going, we were asked to do a podcast. We've interviewed the guy who runs this region. He's one of the top positions, lots of different connections in lots of different ways, but not being in a completely different space, especially financial, which is a big thing. You know, it's fintech and they're talking about money and how money's moving and the systems that are around it and the opportunities that are around it. And it's so cool to be around that vibration of not just in the unknown, but also the topic of finance, the topic of money, obviously coupled with tech. And being around the individuals who are creating that is up leveling ourselves in an indirect and a direct way to have these like new conversations. We met a podcaster who does it for a living. Amanda and I had a conversation on the last day with this individual who was talking about we're not the right fit for them as a guest and they're not the right fit for us, very different target audiences, but to be able to have a conversation around like how they got started, like what was their trajectory, what is their how they're monetizing it, what's their next step, what's this, what's that, because business in itself, when you look at entrepreneurship and business in itself, and I say this a lot, especially like doing the fractional C suite stuff that I do, is like it's pretty, you know, they're pretty much there's a lot of the same blueprint. It's just that the stakes might be higher, the legalities might be different, the liability is usually different in a bigger way. But to have conversations like that and to kind of like, okay, well, what's working, what's not? Like, and we even talked about like having coffee with this guy. He's actually in Bangkok and like having conversation around both. And he was interested, even though he's accomplished things that we haven't accomplished because he had the 100,000 followers, subscribers with YouTube sitting on his little display. And we haven't gotten there yet. Hopefully by the time you're listening to this, we are because we want it overnight, but we're on our way. But he was also asking us questions. Like he was also learning from us. And it's really cool to experience that kind of back and forth, even if you are not dipping into the same prospect pool or the same, you know, client pool or what.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many opportunities for expansion and for conversations and for opportunities that aren't necessarily monetary. I mean, when you're in this sort of money 2020 world, there's a lot of conversations about, embedded financing and crypto security and frictionless payments and speed expectations and all these things that are inherently important for every entrepreneur. I mean, we all want faster payment methods, we all want security on our sites, etc. But being in that space where people are really figuring out the nuts and bolts of what that looks like, and then having conversations that may talk about that, but may not. There's a lot of conversations being had on how things work in your business and how you can form those connections, even on something that doesn't seem like you're related. I mean, Lynn talked about this gentleman we spoke to. We're not, we're never going to be on each other's podcasts, and that's really okay. And there's so much that we can glean from each other to push both of our businesses forward in separate ways. And so I think that that's the foundation of what it is to have even one meaningful conversation in a space like that. But if you never put yourself in that space, you're never going to have that conversation. There's never even an opportunity to have it.
Yeah. I mean, you never know who you're going to meet. I mean, I think it's going into it with the right intention. And also, you would say this a lot, collaboration over competition. And I will say to me, I know we're kind of jumping back and forth between like what's the purpose, but also like some of the nuggets that we pulled from Money 2020 is they did talk a lot about the direction of this industry, where it used to be very siloed and this bank was only talking to their bank and this was only talking to this, but it's really like that landscape is changing in the fintech industry and in the financial industry in general, not just fintech. And people aren't trying to win alone anymore. They're building ecosystems. They're connecting in ways that that wasn't before. And I think that that's really, it's something to bring home to, like, we talk about it a lot in the entrepreneurship and the small business sector, the SME sector, about collaboration, always over competition, and like looking at a way to work together to be able to move things forward so it's beneficial for both. And it's not always tit for tat. And there were a lot of conversations around that. What one company gets is not necessarily what the other company gets. And with that being said, and there were a couple of stages that I watched because we split up a lot and like watched different things. And But how the big dogs are collaborating with the little dogs and the newbies and vice versa, like where you usually saw even when it first started happening in the bigger industries where, and you even see in the SME world where like will collaborate with like. And so if you are $100 million company, they're only looking to collaborate with somebody at that type kind of top tier level. And that's not the direction that we're going. And it's exciting to watch because it really gives individuals an opportunity across all sectors, not just in the fintech, but again in the SME world. The the example, if people that are handling our money and the trajectory of our money can do this, then why can't people who maybe have less um, weight in the responsibility of what they're delivering or what they're handling? Not saying that, it's not important, but financial ecosystems are what our world runs on. And so if those are broken or in trouble, and we see this, then it has a cost, literally and figuratively. And so if we can see an industry like this doing it, like how can we step more into that? Like where can we be more collaborative? Why are we being so snooty at times and choosing, which we are all about, like having like discernment and being really smart about it, but being able to open up ourselves to um potentially other collaborations or partnerships or ideas that could be beneficial to both parties in a way that has impact.
100%. If we only went to places where our clients already are, we'd only ever build a business that matches where we are. When you're looking at your ecosystem, when you're looking at what interests you in your business, when you're looking at the rooms that you're in, when you're looking at events to attend, where is your mindset? Where is your objective? Where is your expansiveness? I mean, there were so many micro conversations, not just this year, but last year too, that Lynn and I both held with different people. It was, divide and conquer sort of aspect, sometimes together, sometimes apart. And it really opens your eyes up to how other sectors really touch you in different ways. I mean, there's not a business owner out there who doesn't have some level of fintech in their business. Well, there's not a successful business owner out there that doesn't have some level of fintech in their world. So opening yourself up to that, opening up that conversation, and even educating yourself on what that really looks like or what that could look like, it's invaluable in your business. Absolutely. There's so many things. And again, we may never get to this $1 billion industry level where we're doing crazy connections with banks all over the world. That may never be on our trajectory, but it sure is cool to see how it's done. It sure is cool to see how things have evolved, e- even in the last decade, even in the last 5 years, even
Wild.
since COVID. It's wild.
It is wild. Another nugget that I took from one of the conversations is how the finance side of your business used to be back of the house and it's really moving to the front of house. And I really enjoyed hearing this conversation, actually listening to the excitement of the panelists that were on this particular panel, because at first I was like, okay, I didn't quite, when I saw the title, I was like, oh, what is this going to be? Because it was about also relationships and like bringing the human into it and listening to them and talking about like how the financial side, and these were investors, somebody that worked in a global bank, and a few, like there were different positions, but how excited that they were that the financial part of our said business, either be a big business or whatnot, is coming to the front of the house. And this means that we're having more conversations about finances. We're being more transparent, where there's more of an open door. There's this collaborativeness that's happening with other people, or other vendors. And what that did for me and for like how we're talking about it is like because we talk about it in our consulting, we talk about it in our programs, but not necessarily from this angle about it being the front of the house and it being really, it's not an afterthought, it's a driver, it's an instrument within. And I know Amanda's chuckling because she has always like the money thing is more her stuff. However, there is a big difference from it being from back of house to the front of the house where it's more like an everyday and it's a conversation and it's humanized and relationship built. And there's these barriers and walls that were broken down. And it was really quite a different perspective shift for me in the way to navigate the financial side of businesses and the conversation, et cetera. And I really appreciated that a lot. Yeah, a lot. That was a really cool nugget.
Yeah, I think overall, one of the things we really want to impart with this episode, with all the episodes, is to actually get out there and do the thing. And I say this as an introvert who absolutely hates people, situations with people. I still do it. It may not be my very favorite thing that I do in the whole wide world that I look forward to every day, but every time I do it, I'm happy I did it in some respect. There's something I got out of it that was positive. Now, of course, that's a mindset thing. You can't, if you're going to go in there poo pooing it before you've even started it, you're probably going to hate it and have only horrible things to say about it. And we're going to always challenge you on that. There's always something. And we continually, I am continually impressed with the way Money 2020 sets up their room,
Oh,
sets up their spaces, I mean, just the themes, the decorations, the way they set it up. I'm continually impressed because every year it just gets more amplified. Like every year there's a new level to it. Every year there's something I'm like, huh, that is a brilliant idea, or that what an interesting way to do that. And even just the way people set up their booths every year changes, and it makes you really kind of think, how can I up level what I'm doing? How can I up level the thing that's like, oh, it's just another convention, or oh, it's just another conference hall, oh, it's just another panel, oh, it's just another speaking opportunity. It's not though, because every year something evolves. Every time I go to a new event, I'm like, wow, I would not have even thought to do it that way. And it clearly was the right way to do it in this scenario. So it really opens your mind up to a lot of different ways people are doing things. And in this space here, in Bangkok, particularly, there's just so much influence from Southeast Asia for sure. Obviously, we're in Southeast Asia, so that makes a difference. But to see how it's influenced from country to country, from business to business, it's mind blowing. And to think that so many people just don't care enough to even go once because it's mildly inconvenient to the life that they lead. That's me. It's mildly inconvenient to everything because people were around, but so worth it.
yeah, well, I think, like you said, the attitude and the mindset that we come to it with. And I agree, Money 2020 is an ecosystem. Like it is incredible. And this year, like even like having workouts and different things, like they set up little access points because it is about the relationship. Like there's so much information out there and it was cool to get information and listen to things, but really, and this is the thing that I also love about this is like you see people listening, but there's more networking. It's more about the access and the conversations that are being had that absolutely change the vibration and the outcome. And that's what we love. Like we love that. So we're not saying go to every single event, do all of the things, but we go to Money 2020 for very specific reasons. We are open to potentially finding a particular client if that is a potential or possibility, but we're going to put ourselves in the vibration of the financial of the fintech world of the up and coming and the excitement of, because there's a lot more those that are at the starting point than there those that are at the pinnacle point. And so to see the vibration, to watch the pitches, this year they had it in the section on the floor where before they've had the pitches, I think, in a different room, but listening to the different pitches or like listening to founders and kind of like what they had to overcome, what they didn't have to. And even one guy that was talking about bootstrapping all of his businesses. And when it came to fintech, he's like, I had to learn like maybe I can't bootstrap. He ended up bootstrapping it, which is a big thing too. But putting ourselves in that environment with the right mindset and then intention of we're doing it because we are connected to some of the higher level people and we believe in what they're doing. Two is to be in the vibration of fintech, period, and money. Two, three, to be in that vibration of startups and those that have accomplished huge things beyond what, like Amanda was saying, billions and billions of dollars, beyond what our even the way our model is, are beyond our capacity, beyond most people's capacity, like, let's be honest. And to be able to like catch up with people that we've made connections with before. So there is this, we might not have spent all day, every day there, but we were very intentional about what we were doing, who we were seeing, what talks we wanted to dip into, because there is assets in that for us. And I think that that's really important, even outside of, because I love to network, but going to something like that, if you don't go with the right intention, it could be very overwhelming. It could feel very waste of time. So really making sure that we're setting ourselves up for, no, we need to expand ourselves and our vibration into, and who doesn't want to expand themselves into the money vibration more and more? I mean,
Right.
it's
Yes.
incredible.
I will take all that expansion that I can get any day of the week. And it ultimately comes from opening yourself up to those opportunities and seeing what that opportunity can give you. Yes, but also how can you expand it as well? How can you push that forward? We're not always taking, we have to give as well. And yeah, so I can't say enough. Money 2020, you did a great job. You always do a great job. So thank you for that. And put yourself in a room that is slightly off from what your normal clientele is. Put yourself in a room where there are minds that are far exceeding you, and be humble enough to say, like, yeah, I don't know as much as this person does. And that is not my wheelhouse, but man, is it cool to learn about it. And just put yourself in
Absolutely.
that space, because you can't know everything. And if you do, then you probably don't know anything.
Absolutely. And I've actually also made some lifelong friends out of going to places like that, but that's a whole other topic. Anyway, great job, Money 2020. We love what you do. We love that you finally brought it to Bangkok, but Southeast Asia 3 years ago, and we'll continue to support and come and push people into attending as well, because it is quite the experience and you do such an amazing job. So great job. We can't wait to see what you bring next year and all of the peoples. So we're very excited.
All right. If this resonated with you, make sure you are subscribing, liking, following, all the things. Share this podcast with someone else, maybe somebody in fintech, but somebody who might need to broaden their horizons in the networking world, in the conference space world. We want to get out there that there's always room for a good conversation and a good connection.
Yeah. And if you're in fintech or want to be in the vibration of money, check out Money 2020. It is an ecosystem. It is quite the experience. Love it. Love the energy that they bring. And yeah, till next time.
Get after it.
Thanks for tuning in. But remember, listening is not doing.
Take what you heard today and move.
Share the episode, leave us a review, and tag us when you take action.
Head over to thepursuitofbadassery.com and see how we're helping entrepreneurs get results without the fluff.
Until next time,
let's get after it.